For those of you that have joined us, thank you. We will begin shortly. In the meantime, if you want to review the features provided for this webinar and try your hand in the trivia question provided, please go ahead. You can type your answer into the chat pod. We will be starting shortly. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? It is a little bit after 11 o'clock. So welcome to the Commercial and Industrial Manufacturing Solutions PECO Financial Incentives webinar. I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of your busy day to log in with us today so that you can find out about PECO incentives, Act 129 rebates, and other incentives as well. So we had one person try to answer the trivia question. So in 2019, 4% of Pennsylvania's electricity was generated by renewable energy sources. What renewable energy source generated the largest amount of electricity in Pennsylvania? The answer is conventional hydropower was the state's largest renewable source for electric generation and provided about 2/5 of the state's renewable electricity. So who knew? I would have guessed solar, but we had Corinne she guessed wind. So interesting on the trivia question. But anyway, we like to do the trivia question, just something to start our webinars off with. So something interesting. So next we're going to go to just some housekeeping tips and suggestions. So all the attendees are automatically muted with their camera turned off when you log in. You can submit questions at any time using the Q&A button, okay? Your questions, though, will be answered at the end of the presentation. We like to do that so that we can move through the material more efficiently and effectively at the end, okay? If you have follow-up questions, you can send them to me through email at penntap.psu.edu, and we'll be sure to answer your questions for you, okay? This webinar is being recorded and will be available on the PennTAP events page at penntap.psu.edu/events. And then all attendees of the webinar will receive a follow-up email notifying you when the link is available along with a survey. What we want to do is just ask you just a few questions in the survey to find out what you're interested in learning or hearing about in our webinars. We really want to provide that education to you and what is your interest and what will benefit you and your company. So please, please fill the survey out and get that information back to us, so that we can provide the information that truly can benefit you. Okay, so we appreciate that. So today our presenters are myself, Denise Bechtel, and I'll just do a quick introduction of myself. I'm the team lead for energy and environment for PennTAP. I oversee the programs and personnel responsible for offering energy efficiency and pollution prevention assistance to small to mid-sized companies of all sectors throughout Pennsylvania. I have almost 20 years experience. I've performed more than 250 on-site assessments to help companies reduce their energy consumption, decrease pollution and related costs, improve environmental compliance, and decrease greenhouse gas emissions. You can find out more information about me on our PennTAP website. I'd also like to introduce you, our Bessie, I'm going to butcher this now, I'm sorry, Akpanu. He's the outreach manager for PECO's energy efficiency solutions for your business. Our Bessie leads outreach efforts for PECO's energy efficiency programs for non-residential customers, applying his combined experience in strategic account management and building solutions to consult with customers on energy savings opportunities across the PECO Greater Philadelphia service territory. Prior to joining CMC Energy Services, our Bessie was a regional account executive for Johnson Controls product sales team covering the Mid-Atlantic region. Most recently, he worked at Honeywell International as a senior account manager, developing commercial retrofit solutions for companies in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. So today, during our webinar, he will discuss the Act 129 rebate program and the rebate programs offered through PECO, and a lot more information that PECO has to offer. After he presents his information, I'll come back on and I'll discuss a few more incentives and resources that are available to you and your company as well. Then we'll have time to field some questions, Q&A, at the end of our presentation. So we have a lot of information we want to provide to you today. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Bessie, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Denise, thank you so much for the introduction. Next slide, please. So nice to meet everybody virtually. I wanted to go through a brief agenda within the agenda. So thank you for the introduction again, Denise. So we've gone through introductions. As she mentioned, we will go through the Pennsylvania Act 129 initiative and explain it before we get into energy solutions for your business. If you are a contractor or ESCO on this call, we can talk about how you can participate in the program as well. So this is for the greater crowd, for everyone. But specifically for manufacturing customers, we can talk about the value proposition of why to use these programs. We'll get into some measures and incentives, and then we'll cover our PECO instant discount arm of the program as well. And then we'll have questions at the end. Next slide, please. So first we'll talk about PA Act 129. So in case you aren't familiar with this, just a brief overview of what Pennsylvania Act 129 means. So out of the 7 largest utilities in Pennsylvania, PECO being one of them, the overall goal is to reduce energy consumption and demand in the state. So this is a state-run program. We'll get into more details as to what it means specifically at the customer site, or again, if you're a contractor or an ESCO, how you can participate and really service your customers in a more efficient way. Next slide, please. So these programs are broken down in phases. So you may hear somebody say phase 4. So what does that really mean? So to us, our new year began June 1st. So happy new year to anybody that knows the programs well. But we were really excited because this new phase has brought some higher increased measures from before. And we have about less than 5 years now, but 5 years of runway where you can take advantage of these incentives. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. But as you can see, it's broken down over this time frame. So the programs launched back in 2009, and now we're in 2021, and we have another 5 years all the way to 2026. So we've had some success with the programs, and we want to continue that success with your help. Next slide, please. Now we'll dive into what this all means to you. So the program mission is really to motivate not only customers, but contractors in the PECO territory or outside of the PECO territory, as long as you're servicing customers within the territory, to really have a front of mind energy culture and energy mindset. We want to make sure that any installation or any type of buildings that you're constructing really have energy efficiency front of mind, because we want to make sure we decrease overall energy demand and energy consumption, as we mentioned earlier. But most importantly, really work as a partner with our PECO instant discounts program, but also most importantly with our energy efficiency account managers as like a trusted advisor. You can look at us as a partner and really an added resource to help your business in many ways. Next slide, please. So a little bit more background just to educate you on how these programs work. So we talked about PA Act 129 at the beginning. On your energy efficiency bill, or on your bill, there is an energy efficiency charge. And when I say your bill, if I'm talking to any of the manufacturing customers out there, you would see the energy efficiency charge. Even, we're not going to talk about residential, but even if you live in the PECO territory, in your homes, everybody is paying into this fund. So it is a customer funded program. And if you look at your energy bill, or your electric bill rather, every month, you'll see how much you're contributing to this PA Act 129. So from 2009 to present, everybody's been participating in this program. And this is a great way to capture that money and go beyond that for energy efficiency installs that you're making or upgrades that you're looking to make in the future. Next slide, please. So here's the PECO territory. So if you're familiar with the area, this is very, very familiar to you. If you work outside of the area and do work within these counties, you're good to go. So the gray areas here really demonstrate where you can essentially play and work with the program. So as you can see, it's pretty much almost all of Chester County, as well as most of Montgomery County. About good portion of Bucks County, a little bit more than half, and then Delaware County and Philadelphia counties, everything. So we'll go into how to participate and how to get applications in, but we really want to make sure that if you're within these service territories and you have a PECO bill, whether you're a customer or if you're a contractor and you're servicing somebody with a PECO bill, make sure you really tap into these programs and participate. Next slide, please. And that rolls into program participation. So all PECO non-residential, large and small commercial and industrial customers are eligible. So let that sink in a little bit, because that's a very broad brush. That's a very wide net that's cast. So we want to make sure that people are really participating and taking advantage. A project must provide a reduction in annual energy savings, so KWH. That's what we're trying to achieve, and that's what we established early on when we talked about PA Act 129. So it's all connected. Projects must be completed by May 15th, 2026. We do understand that that's near in the future, but I don't know about you. For me, this year has flown by pretty quickly. We're already in September, so May 15th will come sooner than you know it. However, the programs do end May 31st, but we want to make sure we get the applications in prior to the deadline of May 31st, 2026. So what that means is, even if you have a project now and it's further out and it's not going to complete in the next year or two, still put the application in. We can monitor your project and make sure that we have reserved funds for your project coming up. The last point here is a 180-day look back option. So for those of you that are on the phone right now and you think, oh, well, the program's just restarted, this phase just started June 1st. I have a couple of projects that completed over the past couple of months. We do have the ability, as I like to say, to time travel in these programs. So we can reach back and really take advantage of, or help you and make sure you take advantage of some missed opportunity to submit applications. So after this call, I will give my contact information. So if there are some projects that you have that have recently completed, we're happy to help you in any way for that. But then also projects that you have upcoming as well. So now let's talk about why all this matters. So first and foremost, you get a dedicated energy efficiency account manager like myself or somebody from our team. So we serve as a main point of contact, essentially a lifeline, and we like to use the term trusted advisor. As you can see in the picture, there's some assistance there kind of demonstrating where we can be of help and service. But as I mentioned before, there is an application process. So it's very much streamlined. It's not a heavy lift, but any questions around that, we're happy to help you. Also, we can attend customer calls if you're a trade ally or a contractor in the space where we can really represent the programs and be that good news story and an additive to help you win some business. But from the customer end, we can really take a look at your facility and give you some suggested solutions on how you can really drive energy solutions or capture some incentive money on previously installed or future installments that you're going to be doing at your facility. And of course, if there are any issues or questions, you can always contact us directly as well. The support continues. So not only will you have a dedicated resource that's kind of like a main point of contact, but we also have an engineering team behind this as well. So it's not just me. I'm not the only person on the programs here. We have an entire squad. So we have the account management portion of it. We have engineering support. We have marketing. So a whole lot of different people dedicated to really help you win and help your business win in many ways. So we can connect you to the right people. If it's a heavier engineering job, we'll talk about customized projects in a moment. We can provide that technical support to really help you capture energy efficiency savings or to get a better understanding of how you can participate in the programs. And there you go, education. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we want to make sure we have an energy culture and an energy mindset as we move day to day to really identify energy efficiency opportunities at our sites. So we do have some education, some trainings, and some tips and facts and things that you can really pay attention to. So we want to make sure that we let you know that we're a trusted advisor and a trusted partner to really help you win and also be educated on ways to save within your facility. So when it comes to the value proposition, really talking about profitability, I like to look at businesses as two things. So one of the most important things about business is, of course, making money or pushing your product, but the other part of it are the people. And I think that's number one. So first and foremost, I hope everybody is safe and healthy with everything that's been going on over the last year and a half, close to 2 years now. But when it comes to the dollars and cents, want to take a pause here and really recognize that over 35% of production costs are energy related. So just take a moment to really think about that for a second. A lot of what you're doing at your site, there is some energy component to it. And I want to reflect on some benefits of installing energy efficiency measures. So When doing that, and we'll cover some of the measures in a moment, there's process improvement, there's great business development opportunities, as you can see on this slide, reducing costs, but also increase productivity. And we all know people drive business, so installing these measures and really paying attention to that is really key, and it can really increase the profitability of your business by cutting some costs, finding low cost or no cost ways to save, or when you're making these energy efficient or HVAC or lighting upgrades to make sure that you tap into the incentives to really subsidize some of that project cost. And moving into the next slide, another thing that I think is very important in business is a great work environment, but we all know that safety is the most important thing. So as I mentioned before, I hope everybody's safe and healthy, but talking about safety is very, very important. If you're not familiar with OSHA, I'm sure everybody is, but every letter in OSHA makes sense and is very meaningful. So occupational safety and health administration. So from that, in sales, I know we want to hit 100%, we want to hit 150% and beyond, but here with safety, 0% is the best number when it comes to incidents. So you want to have a strong incident report and make sure that everybody is safe, but really tying into these measures and energy efficiency, lighting is very, very important. We see a lot of lighting applications, and some people think this is a lighting program. We'll talk about how we want to go beyond lighting in a moment, but just focusing on lighting, the 3 of the top 5 safety measures here, or incident measures here, I should say, a lot of them revolve around falling, slipping, tripping, or lack of visibility or worker fatigue. So having better lighting will allow you not to trip over that cord that maybe shouldn't be there, or slip on that water or oil that happened to leak out from a piece of equipment, and so on and so forth. So that ties back into the better work environment. It also increases productivity. To go off the topic of manufacturers, I know a lot of people have gone back to school. Some parents have had some back to school nights recently. And in the school sector, they say that having better lighting makes your students more productive by 10, 15, or 20% or more. So same thing here, reducing worker fatigue. We understand that people are working very hard, and as the day goes on, decision fatigue sets in, and that also causes slips and falls and mistakes. So worker productivity is a huge value proposition here, tied into safety, because your workers will be more productive, and that's going to, of course, enhance your productivity and also help your business. Now let's get into the measures and the incentives, as well as some project examples. So here's a nice snapshot of the different measures covered. If you only thought this was a lighting program, there's, as what's the gentleman, the ShamWow guy says, but wait, there's more. There's a lot of different measures that you can really tap into here with these programs. So just to name a few, starting from the left-hand side, chillers, compressed air, HVAC, motors and drives. We'll talk about those. And then some more customized measures. We understand maybe the way that your facility works may be a little bit different and not so kind of cookie cutter. So any type of process improvements that you're trying to make that demonstrates kWh savings, we're happy to really look into those projects as well. And then we'll tap into our PECO Instant Discounts program too. Next slide, please. The reference sheet. So I like to call this our menu. It's almost like take your order on what type of energy efficiency measure you'd like to tap into. But this is a nice catch-all to really highlight our program manual that's a bit longer than this, probably about 25 to 30 pages, which gets more into the technical nitty-gritty. So this could be a printable PDF or something you keep on your laptop or computer. So when you're putting together quotes and proposals, if you're in the field, or if you're looking to dial in some things into your budget for some maintenance upgrades, it's a great way to have this right next to you and really know what some of our measures are. And we'll go through some of the measures in just a moment, but wanted to highlight this because this is a great reference guide and reference check for yourself. And we can provide this to you. So some program highlights. If you're already familiar with the program, please chime in at the end and tell everybody how much of the increases have helped your business. But if you're new to the programs, as you can see on the right-hand side, the increases are really, really outstanding. At first, when I saw them, I thought they were unbelievable. I had to pinch myself a couple of times to see that they were actually real. But starting at the top, even LED high bay fixtures, an increase of just under 200%, which is amazing. Going into the middle there, water-cooled chillers, 300% increase, so $20 per ton. So if you have, 1,000-ton chiller, a 500-ton chiller, et cetera, you just do some quick math to see what your incentive would be. But going deeper into manufacturing, you put a VFD on a process motor. That motor incentive could be anywhere from a 60% increase from last time to over 250%. So incredible numbers. You really want to make sure you're participating because it's really a no-brainer. I like to tell people that I get to give away money as a living in a way, and through an application process, we're able to reward you with some nice incentive checks towards the projects you're doing. Next slide, please. So here's the first example of us giving away money, essentially. So through our application process, like we talked about before, we understand that manufacturing warehouses and such have a lot of high bay lighting. So we took an example from a customer, a real customer that participated in the program, and they replaced 250 metal halides with 250 170 watt LED high bays. And as you can see, the incentive is incredible. So $50,000 incentive for a project that you're already doing, and all you have to do is put in the application and work directly with our team. Again, it's not a heavy lift because you do have a dedicated resource like myself or anybody else from the team. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to turn down $50,000 for anything. Unfortunately, the checks don't go in a personal name. They do go to your company name, but you can use that incentive money for anything you like for your business. It does not have to go into an energy savings project. So it's nice to get that money in case you have other things you need to use that money for. And again, in a way, it's almost like generating sales that you didn't get because it's all going to be on the plus side for you and your business. Next slide, please. Another quick example here, compressed air. We do understand that manufacturing spaces have compressed air. So this is a blended project where compressed air and a VFD that was installed on a process motor were two of the measures kind of put together in this example. So nice incentive, solid just north of $3,000. As you can see, the energy savings is displayed at the top. And then of course, the annual cost savings over time for a very, very simple project. This application took no more than 10 minutes to put together. So very, very simple turnaround in terms of gathering the information and producing an application. Next slide, please. So want to take a pause or kind of a little bit of a pivot to another part of our program when it comes to new construction. So let me define new construction first and foremost. So when I used to see new construction, I always think ground up build. So there's dirt and then you have the steel, you build the foundation and you build a new building. That's one avenue, but in our program terms, new construction can cover many different facets. So that could be a tenant fit out. That could be a major renovation, a significant change in space, a core and shell job. So new construction is really defined by if you pull a building permit or not. So looking at the picture there, as you can see, they're looking at their blueprints, getting ready to put together a project. But in all that project information to really launch a new construction project, we would need that building permit. That to us tells us from a program standpoint, that goes to the new construction bucket. And then the next thing we'll need is a lighting comp check report. The ASHRAE baseline this phase is ASHRAE 90.1 2013, which has changed since last phase. So people that are familiar with the programs definitely take note of that. And the way that this type of project is incentivized is going to be a dollar, but it's actually cents per, it's changed to a KWH. So dollars per KWH saved as long as you're a certain percentage above code. So really wanted to emphasize that there and make sure you have a better understanding of that. We'll talk about another new construction avenue in a moment, but definitely keep that in mind because that's another area of the program to take advantage of. When it comes to whole building, so as I mentioned, more of the ground up build or major renovation, a whole building project encompasses a little bit more. So any of you out there that do energy modeling or are familiar with that, if there's an energy model associated with the new construction or the construction project, we will bucket that as a whole building solution. We have a dedicated new construction energy engineer, Yan-Ran Liu, who looks at all of the new construction projects. He'll do all the analysis. And as long as he gets all the information, like the permit, as we talked about, the comp check report, the energy modeling, and the associated submittals, that's all we really need to launch the project and get you an estimated incentive. So again, these are projects that you're doing. And also all of this information is probably sitting on a shared drive somewhere, or maybe with your general contractor, or maybe right on your laptop. So not a difficult lift, and we can always assist you in this process, but a lot of the analysis and the heavy lifting is on our end. We just need the documentation and the information to produce an application. So to dive a little deeper into how we would calculate a new construction whole building incentive, let's talk about the more standard way of doing it. So as long as there's and again, this is whole building, so with an energy model, not only covering lighting, but HVAC components as well. If there's at least 5% improvement above that ASHRAE code, like I said, 90.1 2013, these are the tiers in which you would be incentivized per KWH saved. So let's use an example. Let's say you're 15% above code and it's a great new building and it's going to save exactly 1 million KWH or 1 gigawatt hour of savings. You would multiply that 1 million KWH by 16 cents. So your incentive would be $160,000. That's an amazing check. Side note, I always wanted to be a game show host growing up, so I would be happy to present that money to you as an incentive for taking advantage of the programs. On the right-hand side of the slide, it goes beyond that. So for any design firms that are on the call, I saw that there are some firms on the call that may be able to take advantage of this. This is a new additive to the program. So once your customer goes through, or once we go through the evaluation for the customer kind of side of the incentive, there is an incentive for design firms to make sure that their energy models are at least 10% above code. If they are, there's an additive of up to $25,000 per application. So if we go back to my project example, in the past, they would have gotten the one check for $160,000, and that would have been it. But in this case, I said that in my example, it was 15% above code. Therefore, it is 10% for this design firm incentive. It's above that. So there would be an additional $25,000 to really subsidize some of the costs of energy modeling. We do understand that energy modeling can get a little pricey, but in order for us to have the best energy solutions and to be as efficient as possible, we really want that to be up to date and up to the ASHRAE code as that last bullet point on the right there. So if you do have some energy models, for those of you out there, and you're looking to do a project, make sure you revise them to this current ASHRAE code or beyond, and then talk to us from a program standpoint and see how we can make it a viable project. Next slide, please. And that gets us to custom. So custom measures is its own lane in a sense. Take a look at this as kind of the atypical project that's a little different. So combined heat and power, those are rare projects, CHP, that's new to the program. But let's say you're doing a compressed air project, an HVAC project, or even an advanced lighting controls project, let's say, and it's a little bit more unique. Tap that dedicated trusted advisor that we talked about, and let's look a little bit deeper into that to see if we can make it a project. These are really case by case scenarios. So if you look on the right hand side, it does involve M&V, as we like to call it, or measurement and verification. So pre and or post metering may be required because we need to see where your building is originally. So establish a baseline, monitor the building maybe over a couple of seasons, because let's say you're doing a chiller optimization project. You want to see how it's operating during the summer versus not during the summer, because there's going to be a big difference, especially since we've had a very hot summer as an example there. So, and then the post metering and verification, then we'll be able to determine the delta and the energy saved. So again, reducing kWh is the goal, energy savings, but most importantly too, we want to be able to capture that. And once we are able to determine that, then you would be paid out 10 cents per kWh saved. So let's use the million kWh example again. If you have 1 million kWh saved for a project that was custom, it would be $100,000. If it's 2 million kWh saved, which would be a bigger project than that, you would get $200,000 for that custom measure. So I've seen checks given even more than that. So going back to the game show and that type of mindset, we do check presentations. So I've seen the big foam publishers clearinghouse type checks given to customers and press around it at all. So this is a real thing. And again, this is a program you're paying into. So why not give it a shot and see if you can qualify for custom measures or more of those prescriptive measures that we mentioned earlier. And next slide, we do have an example for you. So I mentioned chiller optimization, but air handling unit or AHU optimization is key as well. This is again a live customer that took advantage of the programs and really tapped into that. So using software and going through one of our trade allies, they were able to calculate a very nice energy savings project of north of 0.5 gigawatt hours of savings. As you can see, a very nice incentive associated with that. So you multiply the savings by 10 cents. That's how you get that just under $55,000 incentive. And then the cost savings is key. So annually, that's how much you're saving per year. So that could buy you new equipment, that could buy you new office chairs, that could throw somebody a really big party at your office, whatever you want to use that cost savings for, it's really going to impact your business and help your bottom line. So wanted to really make sure everybody understood those areas within the chart within these 3 examples here that we've given you. Next slide, please. Okay, so we mentioned earlier, but to re-emphasize, take a look back at any projects that finished from June 1st of this calendar year to today. As the clock goes further and further down, as we get further into the programs, it's a sliding scale, so it has to fall within 180 days or less. But since we're not fully 180 days into the new year of the programs, anything that's happened from June 1st and in between until today, we can still try to capture those projects. It's a little bit more difficult when it comes to custom, just because maybe the project in mind needed some pre-metering, but I would say bring everything to the table, and then we can really look through it together and see what would qualify and what wouldn't. So I wouldn't turn away from the programs for anything until we take a look. So here's where we like to take a quick pause and really, you can save this for the Q&A or contact me afterwards, but are there any projects that are coming to mind to submit? We really like people to digest this information. I know there's a lot being shared today and you may not remember everything, but at the same time, maybe something's coming to mind right now. So take a quick pause and jot down a quick note or two on maybe some projects that come to mind. I'll give you about 10 seconds, like Jeopardy, to put your answer down, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the next slide. So to close things out, we're going to talk about PECO instant discounts. Now, I don't want you to forget everything we've talked about up to this point, but this is a different lane of the program that has a different approach. So if you know of any lighting distributors, and there's going to be an HVAC component added to this very soon, but many lighting distributors in the PECO territory are participating in PECO instant discounts. And what that means is, for interior or exterior lighting on this list, as you can see to the right, I know the font's a little bit small, but we can provide you this list and the links afterwards, or you can reach out to me and I can send it to you directly. If there is a lamp or fixture on this list that you wanted to go to a local distributor and purchase on your own, if you are the customer and you have your PECO, your 10-digit PECO account number, as well as the address of where this lighting product will be installed, that's all you need. And right at the point of sale, the discount is taken off for you. So it could be $6 per lamp, it could be $100 per fixture if it's a high bay or something in that realm. So the prices are amazing. As you saw, there were big increases across the board for this new phase that started June 1st. So wanted to make people aware of this as well. A lot of people take advantage of this in the manufacturing sector specifically, but outside of the sector, a lot of schools like this, hospitals will use it for relamping their patient rooms. So this is a part of the program that's really, really moving. We have more distributors signed up than we did last phase. So if there are some particular distributors that you have a friendly relationship with, we can tell you who is within the program, or if there's a distributor that you want to look towards, we do have a lookup tool where you can find the closest or more convenient distributor for you to take advantage of this part of the program as well. So key takeaways, if you didn't remember anything, I would say just contact me afterwards and I can tell you what would be best for your business. So we want to make sure that we boost long-term savings within your portfolio. We want you to win. So within your sales portfolio, if you are a contractor or ESCO or other, we want you to win and win more business with your customers. But from a customer standpoint, we just want your profitability to increase. We want you to be more safe. And of course, we want your business to succeed. So that's a key takeaway. Another thing is, due to COVID and other things in the marketplace, we want to make sure that projects that have been overlooked or delayed go through the programs, because maybe if it's a budgetary constraint, maybe these incentives can move the needle forward and get you across the goal line and make those projects more front of mind again. Or like I said, the 180-day look back option, maybe there's some projects that have been overlooked and we want to capture those as well. From a city perspective, there are some sustainability plans and benchmarking requirements. So if your manufacturing facility is over 50,000 square feet and you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of some of the other programs out there outside of this program, like the building tune-up programs, et cetera, make sure that you couple this program in your pursuit, because we can help you in many ways. From a competitive standpoint, if you are a contractor on this call and let's say you're bidding against everybody, but let's say you're down to the final 3 bids, this can really offset some of that cost that you have in your proposal and put you ahead of everybody else because they're not leveraging the programs as an advantage. The program checks do go directly to the customer, but in your proposal, you can say that you went after the programs, and that you were looking to take advantage of the incentive program. And if you get written consent from your customer, they can forward that check to you. So you can really, in a way, decrease your proposal cost and bake that into your proposal to make you more cost competitive and win some more business. And the last slide is what I talked about earlier. So I did promise I would give you my contact information, and here it is. So that's me, that's my picture there, I promise. That's my phone number and my email. Feel free to screenshot it or write it down. And if you want to email me afterwards, we're happy to help you in any way. It's not just me. Like I said, we have a full team of account managers to help you specifically. And then we do have engineering and marketing support as well. So we're really excited to hear about all the projects you hopefully wrote down, or maybe after this call, you think of something, feel free to reach out to me. And as I mentioned before, happy to help you in any way. And we'll turn it back over to Denise.
Okay, thank you, our Bessie. Great information and a lot of great rebates and incentive programs that PECO has to offer, for your footprint. So as I mentioned too earlier, we are archiving the webinar. So you guys will have, the opportunity to have this information, his contact information, his phone number, and his email address. So thank you. I want to just talk a little bit about some additional funding. So first, we're just going to talk about the DEP Small Business Advantage Grant. The grant is offered through the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. And the contact information is through Samantha Harmon. She is the DEP Ombudsman, and her phone number is provided here in this slide, okay? And the Small Business Advantage Grant, it's a grant offered to 100 employees or less, okay? It's an online application process, and it's a first come, first serve grant until the money is exhausted. You have to save your business $500 or 25% annually in energy or pollution prevention related expenses. And it's a 50% reimbursement of eligible expenses. And so it's only going to pay for the equipment. It will not pay for labor costs, okay? And so the maximum grant award is $5,000. So what's nice about this grant is, so you can apply for this grant, for example, for lighting upgrades, but then you can also apply for the rebates that our Bessie just talked about. So, hand in hand together, that's really nice to take advantage of both this grant and those incentives. So some of the eligible projects for the Small Business Advantage Grant is to install, equipment resulting in energy efficiency or pollution prevention, to adopt processes which reduce energy consumption, reduce consumption of raw materials, increase the reuse of raw materials on site, reduce the production of waste or reduce sediment and nutrient runoff into directly affected streams. So must be a replacement or an upgrade of existing equipment. So new equipment or new facilities are not eligible. So it is a replacement of existing equipment. So on DEP's website, they have the grant documents, the guidelines, and instructional videos to help you go through that application process, which you can see. I just did a snippet, a shot of what is on their their website. So those videos are very nice. They're very clean and only about 10 minutes long to show you how to apply for that application. So just in this next slide, just some of the types of projects to consider through the Small Business Advantage Grant. Like I mentioned, lighting, but you have, HVAC, boilers, dry cleaning equipment, air compressors, evaporators, industrial fans, but also solvent recovery, so on the pollution prevention side, so just some other things to think about with this. This is also a good grant for ag-related projects as well, okay? And here's just a case study, just to talk about this grant. PennTAP conducted an energy audit at a small manufacturing plant in Western Pennsylvania. And we advised the client to upgrade their lighting to LEDs and help them with this, the Small Business Advantage Grant. The company was awarded a grant of $4,800 and qualified for more than $4,000 in utility rebates. So the project cost was just over $19,000 with anticipated annual savings of over $11,000. So the simple payback for their out-of-pocket cost was less than 1 year as a result of the grant funding. With the grant funding, utility rebates, and the annual cost savings from that lighting upgrade. So it's a pretty nice project if you take advantage of both the grant and the utility rebates. Another opportunity that I want to talk about is the United States Department of Ag, USDA, Rural Energy for America program, REAP. So this is federal funds. So REAP provides guaranteed loan financing and grant funding to ag producers and rural small businesses for renewable energy systems or for energy efficiency improvements. Okay, so any ag producer with at least 50% of gross income coming from agricultural operations and small businesses in eligible rural areas can apply for this grant. So when we talk about rural areas in Pennsylvania, we're talking about most of Pennsylvania, unless you're right in the inner city of Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. But in the outer limits of those cities, you're eligible. On their website, they do have a link where you can go and you enter your zip code and it will let you know if you're eligible for this grant, okay? So the REAP funds can be used for renewable energy systems like biomass projects, geothermal, hydropower, small and large wind projects. And then also the funds can also be used, as I mentioned, for energy efficiency improvements. So if you're doing HVAC systems, insulation, lighting, refrigeration units, doors, windows, replacement of any inefficient equipment, okay? The REAP loan guarantees loans up to 75% of the total eligible cost. The grants will pay up to 25% of the total eligible cost. And then you can also combine both. You can apply for the loan and the grant, and that funding will pay up to 75% of the total eligible project costs. So for questions or additional information, you can contact Raina Feel at 717-237-2289 if you have any questions regarding this opportunity. Next, I just want to talk to you very quickly about the Pennsylvania SEAPACE. That's the Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy. It was enabled in Pennsylvania in the summer of 2018 through Act 30. The legislation authorized local governments to establish a SEAPACE program for building owners to obtain low-cost, low-term financing for energy efficiency, water conservation, and renewable energy projects. So SEAPACE can be used for existing and new construction of commercial, ag, industrial, and nonprofit properties. So improvement projects can include energy efficiency, renewable energy, and water conservation, like I mentioned just previously. Individual property owners voluntarily sign up to use the SEAPACE by developing a project with a private capital provider and developing the repayment terms. Okay. A list of some of the energy conservation measures, renewable energy improvements, and water conservation measures possible for the clean energy projects can be high efficient lighting, lighting sensors and controls, HVAC upgrades, chillers, boilers, heat pumps, geothermal, building envelope improvements, solar, wind, adding aerators to your faucets. What else? Condensate water reuse for cooling towers and many others as well. So 13 counties have an active SEAPACE program so far, and they include Allegheny, Bedford, Berks, Center, Chester, Delaware, Erie, Lebanon, Lehigh, Montgomery, Northampton, Philadelphia, and Wayne counties. So some of these counties are in the same footprint as PECO. So I wanted to mention SEAPACE during today's webinar. And then 3 counties have passed the SEAPACE resolution, and they are Chester, Lawrence, and Westmoreland counties. So that's SEAPACE. I'm just going to talk just a little bit about PennTAP and who we are and what we do. PennTAP, we are a statewide technical assistance organization charged with supporting Pennsylvania businesses and anchor institutions, including manufacturers, municipalities, educational institutions, entrepreneurs, and economic development agencies. We began our services over 50 years ago as one of the first technical assistance programs in the country. You can find us at pentap.psu.edu. And our mission is to provide Pennsylvania companies with technical assistance and access to Penn State's talented faculty and students in order to solve business challenges. Simultaneously, PennTAP provides Penn State faculty and students with opportunities to broaden their impact, expertise, and experience through engaged applications. This is just a slide that has a photo of all of our staff. We have certified energy managers, renewable energy professionals, certified energy auditors, professional geologists, chemical and electrical engineers. So just wanted to provide that to show you guys our staff. And then we have different services that we provide. We have our energy and environment, and then the innovation side. With the energy side, we do pollution prevention and energy efficiency audits. These are provided at no cost for manufacturers, where we'll go out and visit with the company for a couple hours and help them to decrease pollution and increase energy efficiency at their site. We also do the E3 assessments, where we build on those energy audits, but then we also do value stream mapping for them as well. And that's usually a 2 to 3 day training. And then we have our energy management systems, where we provide companies with the framework to integrate energy efficiency into an existing energy management system that they may have, or we help with the 50,001 Navigator Ready provided by the DOE program. And then through the energy and environment, we also do building retuning, and that offers those folks involved in building operations a low cost approach to energy efficiency. On the innovation side, we offer opportunities to Penn State students in the College of Engineering to gain real world experience by having them assist us with our audits. And then our innovation advisors provide technical and entrepreneurial assistance to companies to aid in product development. So I'm going to stop right there because I really want us to field some questions. Okay. Just want to make you aware that we do have upcoming webinars on our website that you can go to, and that we have archived webinars on our website as well. So let's go to Q&A. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask our Bessie or myself regarding the rebates through PECO, or any other questions that you may have? Okay. If a customer is installing solar or considering solar for a commercial property, they can contact Brian Barr with PECO's Green Power Connect group. Okay. So the original question, does PECO program cover solar? It is not covered within the program I spoke about, but however, there is information where you work directly with PECO. This is the link to the PECO solar page. So there's a link provided here in the chat pod. And if the customer is installing solar or considering solar for a commercial property, they can contact Brian Barr. Is there any other questions? I would like to ask our Bessie, for the reference sheet, is that available on your website?
Yes, but we can also send it out, or we could provide it to you. And then if you want to send it out to whoever attended today, we can do that as well. So there are many ways to get to it.
I think when we send out the survey and the archived link, that I think we should just attach it to that, so
Excellent.
that everybody has that. So I'd kind of like to do that if we can, and then also just include the link as well in that email.
Excellent.
So, okay.
Sure, we can set that up.
Okay, great. Any other questions? And let's see. I noticed that pottery kilns were on the list of system upgrades. What about other types of kilns? So is this regarding the SBAG, or is this regarding the PECO upgrades? Crystal. So I imagine, so either one. So she noticed that pottery kilns were on the list of system upgrades. What about other types of kilns? So as long as, I'll answer for the SBAG, as long as you're showing a 20% or $500 savings, I believe that that would pass for the Small Business Advantage grant. Or Bessie, would that fall under the rebates for PECO?
I'm trying to understand. So what type of system is it?
So I'm thinking like for wood, drying wood.
Okay.
A kiln.
Sure. So as long as it has, well, first the project needs to be in the PECO territory, first and foremost. And then the next question or answer needs to be, does it have a commercial meter? If it's commercially metered and it's in the PECO territory, then it would fall under our program. We could take a look at it.
Okay. And she mentioned, yeah, she mentioned it's a concrete kiln. So, but as long as you're showing energy improvement,
Correct.
KWH savings, right?
Yes, everything's based on the metering. So as long as it's a commercially metered entity, whether small or large, we can take a look at it. If for some reason it's not, or if it's very, very small, it might go through our small business direct install program, but most likely we'll be able to take a look. So take a look at your energy bill, your utility bill, and if you have a PECO commercial meter, then we're happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Another question we have, any corollary to the PECO program through First Energy Penelec? So First Energy does have the rebate programs. And if you watch the July archived webinar provided by PennTAP, we did do a webinar with First Energy, and they talk about their programs. So yes, you might want to watch that. Okay. Any other questions? Let me scroll down through here. Crystal just wanted to respond back to the kiln. Does it need to be completely separate as far as metering is concerned? Or Bessie?
It does. Sometimes there's some crossover with metering because there's a blend between residentially metered projects. We have mixed use projects that come into the mix as well. Crystal Brooks, I would suggest either I get your contact information after this. I believe we have that information. I can send you an email, or if you'd like to send me an email, I can drop my information in the chat, and then we can talk offline if that helps you at all. So I can type that answer real quick and give you my contact information.
Okay, any other questions? If you think of questions, after the webinar, obviously you can contact PennTAP, or you can contact our Bessie, and, we'll get the information to you. Okay. You will be getting, like I said, a link to the archived webinar, and we'll get you these fact sheets to you as well. And please fill out the survey to let us know what you'd be interested in learning about in future webinars. We appreciate everybody being online today. Okay, where would I go about finding the archived webinar for First Energy? If you see this slide right here, all recorded webinars, recorded events, that is on the PennTAP website. Okay, so Sam, if you go to the pentap.psu.edu/events page, that's where you'll find those recorded webinars. Okay. And July 15th, 2021, Act 129 funding and incentives to finance energy improvements to increase facility efficiency. That's the webinar that I'm talking about. Okay, that's it. We're going to call it a day. It's already almost 10 after 12. We appreciate everybody being with us today, taking the time out of their busy schedules to hear about PECO and their information. Bessie, thank you so much for being on with us. We appreciate you being here and providing that information to us. So thank you so much. And you guys, you'll be getting information from us, and we appreciate you all being here today as well. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Denise. Really appreciate it. Goodbye, everyone. Take care.
Mm-hmm.